Hello, welcome to the presentation of one of my projects. This is the team-based learning project I was involved in between 2014 and 2015. It involved a group of 270 medical students and 3 instructors from Thomas Jefferson University in Philadelphia. Instead of attending traditional lectures during lecture time, lectures were pre-recorded. Students had to preview the recordings before coming to class. During class, they solved cases in teams. The cases were authored by practitioners, hence they were real-life cases modified to suit second-year students. The instructors also wrote a series of questions that guided and prompted students to solve the cases. These question prompts acted like scaffolding. As much as possible, the cases were authored to be challenging. The response options to question prompts appeared to be neither right nor wrong. In other words, solutions were not in black and white, they were gray. That triggered student discussion and interest. Writing the cases was the biggest challenge. Responses to question prompts were polled using the software Nearpod. We replaced the old clicker system with cloud-based polling. The purpose of flipping the classroom in this way was to force students to discuss cases with peers. Medical students are very good at independent self-study. They are highly competitive with each other and excel in exams, especially multiple-choice type exams, where there are clear correct and wrong answers. They do not typically discuss solutions with peers. Here in the photo, they were seated in groups of 10 and there were 27 tables. The hall was large. Cases were authored using PowerPoint and pushed to students' iPad and laptops using Nearpod during the sessions. In this way, students seated right at the back can view the slides clearly on their own devices. They had no access to the cases prior to class. This screen shows some of the many digital videos we had for this project. The lectures were authored in either PowerPoint or Prezi and recorded using either Panopto, Captivate, Camtasia, or Storyline. This video on the left is a case presented during the TBL session. It was recorded using a Google Glass the physician was wearing. This was the first time we tried using Google Glass. It was very useful. We can see the first-person line of vision in the videos. This is not easy to achieve with a camera crew. Universities do not keep documentations of such projects. However, I was sent to attend a professional development workshop in the form of a MOOC. The name of the workshop was Blend Kit 2015. And during this course or this MOOC, I was required to put one of my projects into documentation. I picked to put the TBL project into documentation. However, I could not do that due to copyrights, and besides, I was not totally happy with the way the sessions were designed. I was disappointed that it did not include more online components such as discussion board or a blog, where students can continue their discussion after sessions. I modified the syllabus and design of the TBL, combining it with another project I was working on at that time. That project was a MOOC, a massive open online course that another professor and I were developing. So in documentation, we can see how the MOOC and TBL session can be integrated and made better. This also overcame the copyright issue. The documentation is not a real course, but similar to what was being implemented. This is a table showing the weekly modules, topics, and activities. And then we have the protocols, which describes the procedures students have to do before and after class, and a copyright statement. This documentation template was recommended during Blanket. Here is the flowchart. The sections in red represent the face-to-face component. You see the 5-question MCQ test here was the pre-lesson test. Every student has to take this test before they start the TBL session. This is to make sure that they have previewed their lectures before coming to class, without which they will not be able to solve the cases. These questions were authored in Blackboard Learning Management System. However, they are considered in-class component because they were taken in a face-to-face session. This was another documentation that the Blendkit course that I attended recommended. It's a very detailed table showing the course outcome, course objectives, final assessment, the module assessment, and the integration between in-class and online components. I find this table very useful for instructional and curriculum designers. When we first piloted the TBL sessions, some students were not happy. They felt that they preferred the instructors to lecture during lecture time because they learned better that way. They wanted the professors to prepare them for the exams because that was important to them. The exam questions had right and wrong answers, and a lot of it is in multiple choice type question. They felt that solving these cases was a waste of time. We organized students into focus groups, and we interviewed the students, asking them what they like and dislike about the sessions, and how we can make things better. The second time we implemented the sessions, we wrote a long email to students explaining why we are doing this and the benefits of a TBL session, and why it is important for doctors to work in teams. We gave them very detailed instructions as to how to go about preparing themselves for the session so as to benefit from the case study. We also told them instructions as to how to get organized when they get into the room. There were 270 of them. Getting them organized quickly was important. The course that I attended, Blendkit, recommended that we use an implementation checklist. The implementation checklist for the TBL project would have included very simple instructions or reminders like make sure that there are enough tables and chairs and the audio can reach the end of the hall. My role in this project was to help the instructors with the design and development of lecture recordings. I did the PowerPoint and Prezi presentations, then helped the instructors with the recordings using either Camtasia, Captivate, or Panopto. I set up the course in Blackboard, including the test questions. I had to make sure that Blackboard and Nearpod worked nicely during these sessions. If there were to be a power failure or software crash, we had a backup lesson plan that can be conducted without the use of technology. There was a lot of hand-holding in this project. Not all the 3 instructors were used to facilitating student groups in a team-based learning environment. They were used to lecturing in a lecture hall. As facilitators, they had to prompt students with questions that arouse interest. They had to orchestrate a lively and meaningful discourse amongst 270 students. On top of this, they had to learn how to teach and poll students using a new software known as Nearpod. I learned a lot from the instructors whom I worked with. They genuinely wanted what's best for the students, and they were willing to spend long hours writing and developing the cases. They would take time to record the lectures and write the test questions. They were willing to learn to use new software and try new teaching methods. The second time we implemented this project, students were very receptive. They really liked it because now they understand why they are doing this and they know how to prepare themselves to benefit from the sessions. Thank you for watching. This is the end of my presentation.